to upload to YouTube today as well. So I'm gonna do that directly after we finish. Um, but how was everyone's day? Everyone's week?
We're good. We're doing good. Well, I'm doing good.
Pretty good. Today I just got done taking the ACT. So
All right. Okay. Yes, that's a lot. Um. My friend. Oh, sorry, guys, come in. Uh, Hello, Sergey.
Hi, Rachel. How are you today?
Well, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm kind of stressed, but
Why?
it's okay. Um, so I want to be candid with y'all about everything and stuff like that. So college, especially at a top 20 university, it's hard. It's very hard, very difficult. We're all trying. All the freshmen right now are panicking, trying to keep up. That's what we're doing. But it's okay. It'll be fine. But yeah, it's just a lot. It's a lot different than high school. And like we're like it's basically all the pre-med majors. So that's something to think about going into pre-med. Of course, like me taking the hardest major I could take in pre-med, it's a lot. But we're gonna get it done. It's difficult to see because now our the econ majors are like chilling, but we're like working. So, but overall, a good day. So my friend Christian has COVID, so that's why he is not here. And I just took my test, and thank God I'm negative. So, um, he won't be back until maybe in the next 2 weeks. And basically, as a COVID thing at our school has isolation things in place where we have to stay in our dorms, but we're separated from our roommates, and that's how it works. So yeah. So, anyways, enough of me chatting. Um, um, let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most important sections that I think is on this application, the writing section. And why I think the writing section is so important is because Questbridge really looks about how like you develop your ideas, how you develop your personal essay. That's a big thing in the Questbridge application. How you develop that. They're trying to see how you think about problems, how you think about your major in terms of that. If you decide to write about that, basically, how do you connect points together to make a cohesive essay? So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So let me go on to the writing. So basically, Questbridge outlines this as this section is to get to know you better and give you the opportunity to demonstrate your intellectual curiosity, interest, and writing ability. This section is an important component of the National College Match Finalist selection process and the application review process by admissions committees. So I would say overall, Questbridge looks at the writing section the most when determining their finalists for their different schools. And right here, if y'all can see, there's a thing called resources and frequently asked questions section. Basically, these are videos that help teach you like how to write, tips on how to make the best personal essay you possibly can. So I would watch this and use these resources, and also use the resources that your English teachers give you, things like that, because I know they can be very, very helpful in getting your writing prepared. Um, Basically, this is a section for tips. Take advantage of the available space. Successful short answers and essays typically make the most of the word limit. So in this section, there's going to be a lot of short answers, which are like 3 sentences. And you just have to really make sure that you're cohesive about your point, that you're making sure you get straight to the point, but also making sure that it's interesting and the reader can read it clearly as well. I don't know if y'all have done this, but if you apply to the College Prep Scholars Program and you had a personal essay in there, it'll automatically carry over for essay 1. But they encourage you to edit your work and also take advantage of the higher 800 word limit. Basically, also always use a word processing program like Microsoft Word. Google Docs is what I use to write most of my essays, and I thought that was very helpful. Especially when using your personal email, because I use my personal email, so I use Google Docs with mine. Basically making sure like one rule to always follow is do not write your essay directly into the boxes of this section. Do not write your first draft into that section. Make sure you always write it into a Google Doc or a Word document, because 9 times out of 10 you could lose your work, especially if you forget to save it. So I would encourage, especially if you're like me and like editing like essays a lot, then I would encourage you to use Microsoft Word or Google Docs. The text boxes will not accept any formatting such as bold, italics, or underlining. So don't use any bold words, italics. Just write in plain Times New Roman text, or you can even use any kind of text. Just make sure it's legible. Let's see. You can also, in this section, you can preview your short answers and essays after saving it. So you can make sure that it shows correctly on the pages and things like that. So you'll not be able to edit any part of your application, including your short answers and essay after submission. So make sure you are submitting your best work. That is the most important thing. So after you submit, after you press submit for your writing, you will not be able to edit anymore after that. So that's why making sure that you have the best possible essay written is very important. Any questions? Okay, let's move on. Feel free to stop.
Rachel, I have a
Oh,
question.
yes.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
trying to unmute, but I couldn't find my mouse. Like, would you say, like, if we like submit it like last minute, like the day, like I don't know, like a few hours before it's due, is that like a bad thing? Like, do you understand what I'm
Well,
trying to say?
yes, I understand what you're trying to say. You're asking me if you submit your essay a few hours before it's due, is it a bad thing, correct?
Yeah, like, does that look bad or like?
Well, personally, I know people who got into QuestBridge who submitted it the night of their essays, the actual application and their essays, they submitted it the night of and still got in to their school, like still got matched. So it doesn't really matter when you submit it. It just has to be submitted on the deadline.
Okay.
So as long as you submit it, you can even submit it an hour before, 30 minutes. As long as it's on the deadline time, you are good.
Okay, thank you. Because I was just worried that, you know, it may look bad. Like they might be thinking, oh, like, oh, this person submitted it last minute, so they probably didn't like work on it or something.
Yes. Well, I know they start looking at the essays after the time of the deadline. So you're all good if you even submit it an hour before, 30 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes before. Just make sure like you get it on that deadline time. So we're about to talk about these short answers, and I'm really excited to talk about this, guys, because honestly, the writing part was probably one of my favorite parts of doing the application. I know it's shocking, but it was my favorite part. Also, I'm going to be using a few examples from my own writing that I used as well from last year to kind of give you an idea of what I personally wrote about. And of course, these essays were already edited. I edited my essay, I kid you not, 9 times. 9 times. Because I just wanted to make sure that I was writing the most cohesive essay I could. So we're here. Short answers. The following short answers are meant to give you more space to tell us about your interests, life experiences, and motivations. We encourage you to use as much of the word limit as possible. Okay, so part one is 200 words for these two questions. This part says, tell us about one of your proudest achievements or moments and what it says about you. So I think this question is basically talking about, okay, what made you, what are you most proud of? What achievements are you most proud of that makes it stand out to you, that makes it relate to you? Let me see where my short answers are. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Let me kind of blow it up so you guys can actually see the question. Okay. So yeah, so like I said, I wrote my short answers and my essay question in a Word document, and that made it a Google Doc document, and that made it more helpful in editing it. So part one is, tell us about one of your proudest achievements or moment and what it says about you. I put, one of my proudest moments was having all A's in my dual enrollment classes my junior year. COVID affected everyone in different ways, and last year was one for the rediscovery and redefinition of ourselves. For me, during the pandemic, I found it extremely hard to find time to prioritize work, standardized testing, such as the ACT, and my extracurricular activities. I was grateful for the community and support of others in the dual enrollment program. I hope that colleges see how hard the class of 2022 worked in a pandemic and consider this when awarding acceptance in the scholarship. Last year, I challenged myself by taking dual enrollment U.S. history. History is one of my weaker subjects, so I was unsure what I would achieve while taking the class. In the end, it was an amazing class, and I was happy that both of my research papers received a grade of 105. This class was where I developed a love for research. I carried this energy into my dual English class, which was another positive experience. I enjoyed the reading responses and the literary analysis, which helped me to think critically. I have taken 6 dual classes, and these classes collectively helped me to see how my hard work pays off. I have learned to stay committed even in the midst of hardship. So basically what I talked about getting good grades in my dual enrollment classes. I talked about how COVID affected my class personally, and basically speeding up time for us, and also in like my dorm room classes, how I had a community of support in most of my dorm room classes. I loved everyone in there. We had such good discussions about the different topics. So I talked about that. And basically what they're looking for also in this section is you analyzing as well, looking back on how your proud moment made you a better person, how it made you to think more critically. I even talked about doing Roman U.S. history, because if anybody knows me, you can ask anybody, but my weakest subject was history. This is why I'm not majoring in college. But I was very proud that I got 105s on both of my research papers, and that ultimately led me to have a love of research, not just in the historical aspect, but also in the English aspect. So yeah, I would just very much elaborate on this section, use as many details as possible that you can fit in to this 200 word section. The next question is, if you could meet a character from a book or historical figure, who would it be and what would you ask them? And basically, I honestly think this is a very interesting question that QuestBridge decides to ask, because I think they're trying to get your character and how you analyze characters as well, how you think they relate to you, because people read a lot of books based on their own selves. Personally, I read a lot of books that are based on me or like my interest and things like that. So what I wrote for this section, again, it's 200 words, so that's the max of it. What I wrote for this section, y'all, so a little secret, I am a diehard Twilight fan. I don't care what nobody says. I am a Twilight fan for life. But I really use this section to express why I loved the main character, Bella in Twilight. Um, so I would like to be Bella from the Twilight books. She is selfless and caring. She makes sure everyone surrounding her is secure before herself. She is an optimist who always sees the light and how good people can be. She has a deep conscience that kicks in when someone is hurting and drops everything to make sure that they are doing good. She has an unbelievable amount of resilience and a positive attitude in bad situations. When the world around her is telling her that she can't do something, Bella finds enough strength in herself to overcome. I would ask her how she keeps going when in hard situations it feels like the world is against her. I wish I could embody her spirit and tenacity in hardships that test me. And basically, I think I wrote about this character because I relate to her the most. A lot of what I put was about like my own characteristics and how I saw those similar characteristics in her. But you can write about any book character, any historical character that you feel like you love the most. It could even relate to like your personal essay story, things like that. Um, so that's basically the 200 word section. A lot of these are just like random fun questions, I think. So as you get to writing them, I think they're very interesting to write. It's not just like a cookie cutter writing where they ask you, okay, what did you do this time? What clubs were you in? Different things like that. Elaborate on the clubs and things like that. I think QuestBridge does a good job in like picking out short answers that are very creative to get the sense of who the students are. Part two. Now, as I said, part two is these are 35 word limit. So these are like two to three sentences at most. And you just have to be very concise with these. So the first question is, what is your favorite subject to study? Why? I put My favorite subject is science because it can be applied to everything. It is also used to help someone live another day. I love it because with science, I feel that I am solving the world's problem. So that was my little spiel on science and why I liked it. You can even put like, I love history because I love researching about interesting people and facts and different things like that. It really just depends on you and why you love that subject of study. Let's see. So the next question is, what are your favorite books and or movies? I put my favorite books are Everything, Everything, The Hunger Games, Tuck Everlasting, and The Twilight Saga. My favorite movies are The Little Mad Mermaid, Bad Boys, Divergent, and the Twilight movies. As y'all can see, I put a lot of dystopian books. Basically, fantasy. These are fantasy books. These are like action movies and also like fantasy movies. So it was just a mix between that for me. So you can really put any movies or books that you like in this section. Let's see. What is your favorite source of inspiration? So I would give this section to kind of elaborate. Okay, what makes you feel inspired? Gets you feeling inspired? Maybe it's like walking on the beach and you're seeing different seashells and you count the characteristics on a seashell. I don't know. Just make it compelling, make it interesting, but also just make sure you're like true to yourself and true to your interests. I put my favorite source of inspiration is God and music. God comforts me and encourages me to do well when I am struggling in life. Music makes me energized so that I can continue my day. Um, yeah. So the next one is, how do you spend a typical weekend? So this could be about anything. Basically, how do you spend a typical weekend from like work? What do you do? What excites you? Things like that. I spend my weekend watching TV or doing homework for dual classes. I also listen to music and dance in my room to relax from a long day. And I am just a music nerd person. I love dancing. I love listening to music. I love watching interesting TV shows and things like that. So that's how I take a break from doing homework. This also serves me well in college. Um, then the next one is, what compliment are you most proud of receiving and who gave it to you? Basically, like, what compliment have you gotten from a friend? This could be from a friend, your parent, your sister, your brother, anything like that. So I mentioned Miss Cummings in it, as you all, well, most of you may know, like, Miss Cummings helped me a lot with my essays. So she's one of my favorite English teachers that I've ever had. I loved her class. It was so amazing, so interesting. Um, I am most proud of a compliment of my work ethic. My dual English teacher, Mrs. Cummings, gave me the compliment after seeing my hard work that I did to make my papers amazing. And the next question is, after a challenging experience, how do you rejuvenate? So in this question, they're really trying to see, okay, so like basically in work, like how do you de-stress? How do you take a break from a bad experience? Um, yeah. So I put, this might sound odd, but I rejuvenate by turning on the TV, grabbing a blanket, and going to sleep on the couch. I also go outside to soak up the warm sunlight. That's what I do because back home, I used to literally grab a blanket, go downstairs, and go to sleep right on the couch. And that was honestly the most rejuvenating thing ever. Um, this last question is, what would you contribute to your future college campus community? So what aspects of you, what characteristics of you that you will contribute to your campus? What do you think that you will bring that your campus maybe doesn't have yet? It could be anything really. Um, I think that I would contribute my expertise in medicine and my caring nature to my college campus. I find joy in seeing others happy and giving up my free time to support others. Okay. And if you guys see down here, there's a save button. Will automatically save. So after you save, you can preview your short answer responses onto a page that the QuestBridge committee, when they receive the applications, will see. So you can make sure that there is no issues. I highly recommend using this after it, just to make sure that all your words are on there, all the words that you wanted to spell correctly are on there, and things like that. Okay. Anyone have any questions before I move on?
I have a question about the favorite subject question.
Yes.
Would it be fine if I would like the ROTC class, or does it have to be like a core subject?
Oh no, actually it can really be about anything as long as your subject you enjoy. You can even write about JROTC how you love I don't know a whole bunch about it, but how you get involved in it, basically like that. Like what is your favorite things to do in JROTC? It can really be about anything. It could be about like the health sciences, it could be about gym, really anything.
Do you mind sharing your document with us?
Oh yes, yes. Yes, I will share it at the end of the meeting. I will also share all my QuestBridge my personal essays, my QuestBridge essays, and my short answer, so you all can see and you can all look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
Thank you, Rachel.
No problem. Okay, so we're continuing. Okay, so this is the big chunk of the essay, the personal essay. Um, Basically, it's their whole spiel about we're interested in learning more about the context in which you have grown up, formed your aspirations, and accomplished your successes. Please describe how the most influential factors and challenges in your life have shaped you into the person you are today. So again, a disclaimer: to avoid losing your work, write, edit, and save your essay in a program outside of the application portal and then paste it in when you're done. And then this is a writing page right here where you can click on and it gives you additional tips for writing your personal essays. So this has an 800 word limit. You do not have to write your whole personal essay in a day. If you're really feeling crazy, then you can really write it in a day. But you can really write it piece by piece by piece until you have it all built up, and then go from there and then editing it to make sure that it's concise. I'm just going to share a few details that I had in my personal essay. So basically, you could really talk about anything. I talked about my background as basically a low-income student in here. I also talked about how my mom died when I was 11 from breast cancer. So I talked about in here about basically how I had trouble in middle school dealing with that, and also how I wanted to become a general surgeon from that experience. Basically, I'm just going to read the last paragraph because I know it's a lot to read in here, and I'm not going to bore you guys by reading this whole thing, but just to save time. And I'm also sending this to you guys after the meeting. So basically, my last essay said, I didn't know having an interest in being a general surgeon would make me have the urge to live again. I wanted to become a vet before my mother died because of my love for animals. I love dogs and wanted to take care of them for the rest of my life. My dad influenced my career change. I was hesitant, but after being open to different possibilities in this field, I was excited. As a result, in seventh grade, I developed a possible cure for breast cancer, a painless alternative to chemotherapy without the side effects through white blood cells. Through the work I hope to do in medicine, I hope to give someone a chance at life. I couldn't save my mother. I know that I have no control over her death, but I do have control to give everyone the life they deserve. I'm just hoping that my studies and journey to being a surgeon will make life a little bit easier for others. Basically, I talked about my project that I developed about breast cancer and the idea that I had in finding a cure and why I was also interested in that and why I made the switch to being from a vet to a surgeon. And also, if you guys see like spelling mistakes in mine, just know I edited this before I actually put it. I sent it in, so there's gonna be a little bit of mistakes in here, but yeah. Um, but that's what I talk about. You could really talk about anything. You could talk about your experience. I know some people talked about their experience being an immigrant and also low income first gen. You could talk about that too. Um, you could talk about um, you can really talk. You can also use this this Word doc to talk about say you have a interest in robotics. You could talk about that here. Um, your competitions in robotics, how they influence you to make your career choice, things like that. It's really whatever you want to do with this personal essay. The most important word I would say in personal essay is personal. Make sure it's a personal rendition of you. Make sure it's unique and that we're not copying off of other people's essays because they will know. Um, just make sure that it is the most personal thing, like that it stands out in your heart. While I was writing this, I really felt like that I showed my true feelings in this essay and everything. And I was very happy with the finished result. I worked with my English teacher, Miss Cummings, and I worked with my Avid teacher, Miss Johnson, and they helped me to edit my essay, which I was very proud of the results. So even if you work on, say, a paragraph a day, um, it'll work like that as well. Say if you work on a sentence a day, it could be anything, just as you're just getting to the deadline. That's important. Any questions about the personal essay?
No.
Okay, let me.
Wait, Rachel, I have a
Uh-huh.
question. So
Yes.
like about the personal essay, do you like I want to be I want to tell my story, portray my story and be like straightforward, but I also want to like use a lot of details so it's I don't know, like it's a good essay, right? So what advice would you give to like combine like those two aspects?
Well, I think that was a lot of it for me as well when I was writing this essay, making sure that that I was giving my perspective about it from my point of view, and also making sure that I was detailed enough. I would say just for a personal essay, making it, of course, telling the truth about your experiences. That's all they want to see is the truth about your experiences and everything. And also just make it straightforward. A lot of you can make it to the point, but also make sure like you're adding a lot of details about specific details about your experiences as well. So I would say, especially when you're in the editing process, because your first draft may not be a lot of you talking about giving details about your personal experience, but I'm saying as your draft goes on, you can sprinkle like little points here about your experience here and things like that. So that's what I would say.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any more questions?
Do you think it would be fun if I didn't use all 800 words?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. It's very good to use all 800 words. This is an 800 word limit. So even if you use up to 800 words, it's still fine as long as you're to that 800 word limit.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Any more questions before I move on? Again, if you please interrupt me while I'm talking, if you have questions while we're going over this. Okay. Now, the topical essay. The topical essay is a little bit different than the personal essay. Um, you're given 3 topics. Option 1 is tell us about a concept, theory, or topic you have explored simply because it sparked your intellectual curiosity. Why do you find it intriguing? How do you want to explore further? This one is basically talking about, okay, if you had a concept, if you had a theory topic, basically elaborate on that. Why were you interested in that? How do you want to explore that further in college? A lot of the colleges on this list are research universities, liberal arts universities. So a lot of them are looking at this and wondering, okay, what is his or her like intellectual curiosity? How will this serve her well in the research aspect? Because in college you will have to do research. It just depends on the type of research you do from each university. And things like that. So just use that section to elaborate on a topic that you're most interested in. Option 2 is describe an experience that caused you to change your perspective and or opinion. This could be an experience being an immigrant. This could be an experience being a person of color in a racial atmosphere. I've heard people talk about that and got in through that. This could really be any experience that really changed your life or changed your perspective on a certain topic. And option number 3 is what aspect of your current community do you admire and wish to bring to your future college community? Basically, what do you like about your current community, your current area, wherever you live, and how do you want to bring that to your college community? How do you want to input that into people's lives in your college community? So what I wrote, I used option 1, talking about a concept, theory, or topic. And again, I'm going to send this later. But basically, I wrote about my struggle moving because I am also an immigrant student. I'm not a international student, but I am an immigrant. I was born in the Bahamas and I moved to America in 2007. So I wrote about how those struggles and my status as a Black low-income immigrant contributed to me working harder in the essence of work ethic and reaching my goals. I wrote about this one event that I had, and I'll talk about it briefly, but this one event that I went to a school in Nashville in middle school, and how my school participated in dissecting frogs. And for some reason, I was always just interested in that aspect of it because it was like looking at the different biological systems of a frog, their cells and everything, and it was just very interesting to me and very fascinating. And I talked about how I wanted to further my medical research in college. And I lived in Nashville for 10 years, so I didn't move to Smyrna, Tennessee until 4 years ago. Um, so I wrote about, because I know the Nashville area. I live here now as a college student, of course, but I knew about like the Nashville area and how much medical care is needed here, and how much help that the Nashville area needs it as a whole. I talked about seeing homeless people all the time by highways, just holding up signs. I talked about how there was a homeless dude at McDonald's holding up a sign, just sitting in a chair. And I talked about my experience about that, and how seeing those people there um, captivated me into community service as well, because that's also one of my passions, community service, and how I wanted to bring that in to my college experience. And I also talked about by my middle school experience of being bullied and how that affected me as a whole, and different things like that. Just my experience mostly as a low-income Black student. So that's what I wrote about. Let's see. So I would say with this topic, I would say really just think about it. Go into depth about your different interests. Again, you can do any one of these 3 topics placed here. It doesn't really matter. It just depends on what option pulls you more to writing about this specific topic. This is different than the personal essay in that this has a 500-word limit. So keep that in mind when writing your 2 essays. Keep that word limit in mind. Does anyone have any questions about these specific essays? Okay. Trying to see. Let's see. I think that is all that I had for today. Does anyone have any more questions about this? About the essays more personally?
What about the additional information essay?
The additional information. Okay, so let me share my screen again. So, okay. So this additional information, this is not an essay, to make it clear. This is if you have any additional circumstances to put this in here. Basically, if your parents are divorced, if you like need money for medical expenses, this is where to put it. Other special circumstances, of course. What I put in the additional information section is basically how my mom died, and how I have a stepmom now. So that's what I put in here. But just to make this clear, this is not an essay section. This is just for additional information on how basically how this strengthens your application.
Does that mean we'll have to write like in paragraph forms?
You can choose to write in paragraph forms. You can choose to write just a few sentences. Again, this is just a space to write additional information, whatever you want to put that you didn't get to put in your essays.
All right, thank you.
So I hope that clears it up. And also there's a video right here where you can watch about the additional information to learn more about what you can include into this section. But yes, also watch this to learn more about it. Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions for me?
Oh, I have a question.
Yes.
So, for transcripts, sorry, for transcripts, I moved to like two different schools. So I just started the high school that I'm currently in. I moved there my junior year. So, do you think I should get a transcript from my old school and from my new school?
With transcripts, I would say I know with transcripts, they're asking for, yes, I would say get the transcript from your old school, but also here, they're mostly asking about 12th grade courses, but I would still get in case your high school transcript from your old school and your new school. So yes, I would get that. And you can also like ask your counselor, and I'm sure your counselor has the file from your old school.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes. Any more questions? Okay. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. Please text me if you need anything. Again, Sarah, I will be getting your essay edited this afternoon. And I will also be posting the recordings from this meeting and the last meeting. And yes. And so the next week we're going to be talking about activity, the activity section, and then the week after that we're going to be talking about IDOT questions and general questions about QuestBridge and things like that. That's what we're going to be talking about these next 4 weeks. And as of now, you guys have 17 days until the application is due. So just make sure you're keeping up with the deadline and making sure you turn that in on time. But have a good day, everyone.